They throw.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. Today we are doing comic book hero, and I'm of course here with my boy Kyle. Tell them how you doing today, Kyle.
Hey, feeling good, ready to rock.
So hey, let's get into comic book hero. So what do you want to discuss? Give us a head. What's the topic today?
This one is for all prospective sellers out there. Now, I understand that the saying is that the customer is always right, but as a seller, you have to also understand that, hey, you want to recognize a red flag in somebody you should not be doing business with. And there are times when you just got to block people, just block them. So we definitely want to get into that. I'm just going to relay a quick anecdote of a recent interaction I had with a potential buyer. I had listed some books and, unsolicited, the guy comes and he's like, hey, I can't see what's going on here in terms of your listing. Could you tell me all of the issues, give me all the issue numbers for what you're listing? And I'm like, well, there's a lot of issues, so I'm not listing all of them. And I check the images. So the images are great. You can see everything, but, so I told him, look, you can see everything right there in the images. Unfortunately, I'm not able to list out and do what you would like. Guy gets irate, starts, all the name calling, the swearing, and all this, being done through an email. So I told him, look, I'm sorry if, it's not to your liking, but hopefully you can find what you're looking for in the future. Then more emails. Oh, your books are trash. And that's not a 9.8. That's more like a 9.0. And, really like, incredible amount of sour grapes at the end of the day. And so I'm sitting here, but after the first email, I already went and blocked him. So he can't, so he can't buy anything from me. But then he also went so far as to, I guess, get a friend in on it, where he's asking me the same questions. Hey, can I see these particular images? And this has happened before. Okay. I have had guys who, for whatever reason, are, they're sniffing themselves. They're taking a whiff of their underarms and they're like, hey, I'm the greatest. They really think that, their pits don't stink at the end of the day. I had someone else who, asked to buy a book and, he wanted to see some more images of it. So before that happened, I said, well, are you planning on grading the book? He says, yeah. And I said, well, I wouldn't grade this book. He's like, well, why not? I said, well, it's a 9.4 and I'm pretty sure you want a 9.8. Well, can I see the pictures of it? And I was like, well, I don't want to waste your time, man. It's a 9.4. It's not going to be higher than that. I'm telling you, take my word for it. Oh, you probably don't really have the book, do you? I'm like, I do have the book. I said, but why do you need to confirm the bias that you have, obviously? If you just wanted it at a 9.4, you would buy it. You obviously want to grade it and you're hoping for a higher grade. It's not going to grade higher than a 9.4. Oh, you're trying to scam people. You're trying to cheat people. And, I'm like, who are these guys? I just did you a favor. You said, you want to grade the book. Who wants to grade a book to come back a 9.4? Nobody. Everybody wants a 9.8. I'm telling you, no, it's not going to grade higher than a 9.4. Somehow, by me telling you exactly the grade of the book, because I won't confirm your bias, I'm trying to scam you. If I was trying to scam you, I would just send you some pictures that look really good and then send you a 9.4 book. And it'll be too late. So as a seller, you've got to learn when you recognize, these are people you don't sell to. You don't sell to them. You don't send extra images. You don't go out of your way to provide them with more information because unfortunately, whether they realize it or not, the second that they showed up and started asking these questions, they have no interest in buying your book. They just want to confirm whatever bias they have about it. They have looked at your book and they see that there's writing on it. They'll send you an email. Is there writing on the book? It's clearly there. It's clearly there. So you don't sell to them. You go, you block, and you don't let them off that block list. Because if you do sell to them, you're going to be married to this guy for 5 to 6 weeks. Because now he gets the book, he looks it over like, hey, there's some chipping over here. Hey, look at this. You didn't tell me about this. I want a refund. Or I expect half my money back. And now you have to deal with this. So, these are terrible dudes at the end of the day. They know exactly what they're doing. A lot of times they like to hit a book, really hit it hard. Like you get a book and they're like, oh, look at this. It's got color touch on it. It's got this, and just try to make the book look terrible. So you'll think that you have, oh man, my book is horrible. I should just sell it for what I can get with this guy right here. Don't be fooled and don't fall for it. Know the value of your book. If that's the price that you want, stick with it. And if you're dealing with online sales, just block those guys. It makes no sense to do business with them because they are not going to be anything but a headache at the end of the day.
Wow. I mean, so what do you do with someone who is persistently continuing to come back to you? I mean, because they clearly feel that they have a right to ask these questions. They have a right to bring it up.
Well, these guys, when you decide to give your unsolicited opinion to somebody on, say, eBay, or if you're selling on Instagram, if you're selling on Facebook, there's very little you can do if they reach out to you. The initial email and so on and so forth, you take that email, you see where it goes. If it becomes but by the second email, you should be able, well, usually I can tell by the first email, but by the second email, you should be able to detect if this is going to be a waste of time. As a rule, collectors buy and dealers negotiate. If a collector wants something, they buy it. They look 9.4, they'll look at the pictures, they want it, they buy it. That's it. They're done. Okay. Collectors rarely even haggle about price. They want it, they buy it. Okay. Who haggles about price? Dealers. Dealers are always looking, oh, look, you got a little nick over here. You're asking 200 for this? I'll give you 25. That sort of nonsense at the end of the day. So, there's very little you can do to stop them, but you do need to recognize them and understand that you don't put any extra time. Because, I mean, I've heard the stories of the guys that, they were like, can I see more pictures? They send more pictures. Can I see close-ups of the spine? They send more pictures of the spine. Can I see a close-up picture of the centerfold? They send up that. Can I see some really close-up pictures of the staples? Oh, okay, here's some pictures of the staples. Oh, what about this? How do you ship? Do you use Gemini mailers? They ask a million questions. And then after all those questions are answered, they say, well, how much is it? $50. Oh, wow, $50? Oh, man, you're serious? I was thinking more like 15. And to an extent, it's a tactic, because after you have put that much effort and energy into showing this guy all these pictures, nobody wants to come away with it for nothing. So now, for you to have sent all of those images and, you think there was going to be a sale, this guy cuts you down by $35. But because of all the time that you put in, the $35 won't look terrible. It'll look like, hey, it's better than nothing. Right. After all the time that I went in. So you got to recognize these guys immediately, okay? And don't waste time on them. Thank them for their interest, but then move on and just wait until you get a proper collector.
Thank you for that. So yeah, I have another question. So if, let's say you bought a comic and you found out there were some missing pages, is there any value to this comic anymore? Should it just be tossed or what?
No. It still has value. It still has value, and it depends. Let's say, for instance, it's a book like, I don't know, Thor 337, first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. Let's say it's a book like that.
Not Beta.
So let's just say it's that book, just for argument's sake. No other reason than that. Just for argument's sake. Let's say it's Thor 337. Okay, great. If the pages that are missing don't really affect the story too much, it's not too big of a deal. If the pages that are missing don't take away from the actual first appearance of Beta Ray Bill, okay, you might still be able to do something with it. But if those pages take out they're missing the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill altogether in the book, or it really disrupts the story, because you could be missing 4 pages and 2 of the pages are ads. And you still have something working at the end of the day. But if it really depends. If it's an older book, you can be missing some pages and the book still has value. As a rule of thumb, if it's missing pages, you're not going to get full value for it, but it still may be saleable. So, it really does depend.
What about if the book came with a poster and that's missing?
Oh Lord! Oh man! Let's see. I can give you two really good examples. Two really good examples of that, both Batman books. What's the first one? This is gonna be Batman 181, first appearance of Poison Ivy, and then Batman 345, which is Detective Comics 345. Both have pinups that are well-known pinups. They're very popular. You can sell the pinups for money on their own. However, if the book is missing those pinups, it seriously devalues it. The first appearance of Poison Ivy is a key onto itself. That's a first appearance of major Batman villain, no problem. But because so many people took that pinup out of the book, finding one with the pinup inside of it makes it more valuable. And again, you could sell the book on its own without a problem, but you could also sell that pinup on its own because both of those are highly sought things. So if you remove it, if it's a highly sought after pinup, then yeah, you got an issue. You got an issue. If it's something that, but there are some pinups that people didn't even know were in the book, and they don't even care. So it wouldn't matter. Like, what's another good example? Amazing Spider-Man 365. There's a pinup in the book. Now, if the book doesn't have the pinup, it no longer has the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099. So you got to have that pinup in the book, or you don't have the first appearance.
So what about, I'm taking a look right here in eBay, and we see that some of the ones for Poison Ivy, and they say no pinup, they literally tell you that, go for like $218, $349. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty big price for something like that. I wonder what it goes for with the pinup. $860? Wow.
Yeah, the last one I sold, not tooting my own horn, but the last one I sold, I went for $1,200 with the pinup.
Wow. And this is a CBS CS 4.5, and this is going for $860. You said the last one went for $1,200. Amazing. Wow, that's interesting. So, I mean, you definitely, someone like you is in the know. I guess the average person wouldn't know this. They would have to go to somebody like you who has the knowledge.
Well,
pick up its value in
yeah.
The comic is valuable in and of itself. The combination of both of them makes them even more valuable to have a comic. But
yeah, it's that's tough because if you don't know and you buy it, if you don't know and then you buy it and then you open up like, hey, the pinup's missing. And we discussed this off camera. As a buyer, it's really your job to look and ask questions about what it is that you're buying. You can't come later on after you bought something. Oh, I got scammed. No, because sometimes it's just as simple as opening the bag, taking the book out, and looking through it. It's just as simple as that.
So what about if you have the comic, like we were just talking about, one of my least favorite comic book characters. Yeah, send as many comments as you want, YouTube. Better Ray Bill. And, his comic book is missing pages. What if you get a signature from the writer or the artist? Will that make a difference?
It's unlikely.
The great cosmic offset of, hey, you're missing the page, but you have a signature on it. That should
be out. I know that voice. It's Petey.
What's going on?
He gabbed and dipped. Gave them a whipping.
Just in case, sorry. Let's keep it in the show.
No, it's unlikely. I mean, again, let's use Mighty Thor 337 as an example. You can have that signed by Walt Simonson, who did both the story, the cover, and the art on that book. But it's missing the pages, and it just doesn't offset anything. It would have to be signed by like Stan Lee to really offset it.
Wait, look at those prices are ridiculous. For what? Because he's going to come a movie? He's going to be in one of those movies?
Hopefully not. No, he won't.
He's going to be in Love and Thunder? That's why this thing is $500?
Yep.
That's a CGC 9.2.
Well, we talked about this too. Off camera. Look, everybody's playing this the same way that everything else has happened. You got a first appearance. It's a comic book. Nobody really, unfortunately, the comic guys don't really push the value of this stuff. Everybody wants cheap books, from 1986. Okay. Then it goes into a movie. It becomes popular. You got people from outside of the comic collecting field who are now interested in, and they want copies. And miraculously, the price starts going up. It doesn't stay the same. Price starts going up. So I think if these guys just price things a little bit more appropriately, okay, you wouldn't have this particular issue. But once you go into a movie, my experience I knew about Miles Morales, but I had never read any of his stories. Okay, I knew about the character. I may have saw him here and there. I saw him in a cartoon, but my first real introduction to Miles Morales in terms of an overall story was going to the theaters and seeing him in Into the Spider-Verse. So how many other people are in that same boat? That's the first time you do it. And then you're like, wow, I really like this character. It's a comic. Now I want to go get the comic. And so they're all playing the same. They're all playing that the same game. That if it's going to bring in more people, It's going to boost, it's going to boost the popularity, the visibility, and it keeps happening. It's a first appearance. Other people start to learn about it. All of a sudden, this book goes up. If comic guys and the comic book buying market was different, closer to maybe like what goes on with baseball cards, okay. There's no movie about Hank Aaron, and Hank Aaron's baseball card numbers go up. But with the comics, yeah, once it becomes more visible, somehow, and I mean, Miles Morales is a great example. Ultimate Fallout #4, I had graded copies of that book. A graded copy of that book was maybe like a couple $100 as recent as 6 years ago. Now, exponentially greater. So I can't fault them for, saying, no, I'm not going to not this time. I'm not going to sell this book for $50. And, the movie comes out. Next thing you know, it's going to have these particular rates. Guys are trying to they're pricing this for a character that is going to make their introduction.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to chime in that with all the Miles Morales stuff, there's going to be no real drop off on this thing, whether you can get it for $1,000 or $34 for $1.
34 is second printing.
Okay, but it's the point. The idea is like this. It's just like when Muhammad Ali died in Superman vs. Muhammad Ali, $200.
Yep.
Two weeks later, nothing. So the idea that it's going to stay that way is not. It's still day trading. It's still, hey, this is a hot stock. Let's get on it. Okay, now dump it. All of it.
That I was with you, and that really was the case where you would have these books that were like $10, $20 books. Somebody dies, it spikes. There's a good example that I can bring up in a few minutes. It spikes and then it goes back down. But what started to happen after, however, was that the book would spike and it wouldn't go back down. It may not have been like a $200 book, but it was never a $10 book again. A lot of times it's been maintaining its value after those particular spikes. So, I'm not too sure about, Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Because when Ali passed, the only books that I knew of that were going to maintain their value was anything that was signed by Muhammad Ali. And those books were far in between. And even then, you could have got a signed copy of that book for like $50. It was ridiculous. He passes away, exponentially higher. However, that book and a lot of those other treasuries, did increase in value over the last few years. So I'm not even sure where the book is right now.
Right. I mean, looking right now on eBay, you have like some $500, some $189, Japanese for $100, the Japanese vintage for $109. So
the deluxe is saying they got some people up here with the deluxe and putting money on that. So in my mind, I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying yes. This, right now things go up and they kind of stay up because they're kind of sitting like saying, you know what, this book right here, because they're using the #1 is going up. I'm gonna put this on the shelf. I'm putting it in my warehouse. And they trade this other stuff while this sits here. And if someone wakes up and says, hey, I want one of one of those the Batman reprints, like, oh, even though the fact is having this be the actual first Marvel and DC collaboration, they're like, no one has figured, you know what, that should be worth something. Nope, don't care. So it's still like that, but it's like a lot of times it feels like people are sitting on these books saying, if I got my day job here, this goes on the shelf at X price. We already looked at Mile High, and the prices are mile high right now.
What do you want? It's Mile High.
It was never like that at Mile High. I've gotten it's just like somebody.
Mile High, at least my experience with Mile High was always one of the more expensive online shops. Okay, they were always one of the more expensive ones. I mean, that was just my experience. You got other places too, but I don't know. I mean, what do you tell these guys to do then? Like, okay, we're just gonna. I don't know. What do you tell them? We'll just let it go for whatever price you can get, knowing good and well if you wait, you're gonna get better money for it. What do you tell them?
No, I tell. This is the thing. The business is about now waiting. They realize now, it's a waiting game. I will wait, get my thing. I will do the amazing stories and wait. And so it doesn't matter if if my mother screams at me about this thing. It doesn't matter because that's the thing. The hard part is, and I know you don't know that many people, but the art dealers that were talking about comic book art, they said there was like 4 or 5 of them, and they all knew people, probably themselves, that had stuff they needed to sell, but they wouldn't because they were like, I'm waiting for this thing to go up another couple thousand so I can double and triple my money. So it's like they're not actual, some of the people are not actually selling because ultimately you're saying everything has a worth. I just don't know what it is yet. And I haven't found a way to maximize it. But at the same time, that's the thing of saying let Hollywood kind of do it instead of like what you're saying is the proper thing of saying, hey, I have these books. They have some sort of worth. I should be, and I'll price it how I feel it's priced. And then if something comes up and it catches, then it will go to that. But a lot of times they still act like the books they're getting now, like the books that just came out with the variants, are now put in the same category. Aren't the books you put in, you buy to sell, the books you try to sell, they're not just like, we just got this Rob Liefeld variant. Let's put this on the shelf right now. That's the problem I have. They're not even selling the new books.
Did you get Avengers? Did you get Avengers 53? It just came out this week.
I didn't get to know. What's going on with that?
No, it's a first appearance, and this is right where you're talking about. It's a first appearance of what? It's the first appearance of the Black Panther in a red outfit.
Oh God!
That's it. It's the first appearance of the Black Panther in a red outfit, but that changed the book. That changed the book. Instead of this, that should be a cover price book. That should be a cover. You just think about it. It's the Black Panther in a red outfit. Who the hell really wants this? Why would you care that he's in a red outfit? It's the Black Panther, not the Red Panther. It's not even a different character like the first appearance of the Red Panther. It's still T'Challa in a red colored outfit instead of black. It's totally incongruent with what we would want, but it's a first appearance. That book went from a cover price book to a $20 book. The variant, what is it? The Schwabe variant that went higher. And I collect Black Panther, so as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, did I order this? I hope I pre-ordered this, because if not, I'm gonna have to go and fork over like $15-20 for this book now. For those particular
reasons. Comic, and I thought that there was something off with the shading. So I
you thought it was the comic book black with the red lighting. Red lighting.
Yeah. I just went off. I didn't realize
Secret Wars #1 with the blue Galactus.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't think that was legit. I was like, that's nothing. There's something wrong with these guys. So
that's where these guys are. They come over there and then they see that drives a lot of the price. Okay, that drives a lot of the price, because now if I want to get this book, and it used to be that, all right, if something like that happened, I could just say, you know what, I'll just wait it out. The price will go back down. Now, I to a certain extent, I'm like, well, can I actually do that? Is the price gonna go back down? Or was the cheap buy-in the $20 that I decided, not to go for? So, I have to really try to gauge it, especially as a collector. I have to try to gauge, well, okay, where am I going to put the money down if I don't get in, if I don't get it on the ground floor and I get it for cover price, where am I going to go with this at the end of the day? Because sometimes it happens and it's fine. I bought it for 20 and it went up, and like, okay, great. Other times, like, I paid top dollar of whatever it was at the point, because I was like, look, I do not want to take the risk that I don't get this book. And then it was like, and then out of nowhere, somebody must have found like a long box full of them. They're selling them for $5 now. It's like, sell them for $5. Ah!
Yeah, the thing is that's the horror of some of these things, where it's like, all right, Perez is in hospice. We need this thing now. Like, we need this is going to be worth something from that. And oh wow, they should be
that? Right, but wait a second. About that on this show, or are we going to talk about that in a different?
I just want to say that as far as a thing of value. It's a value if you're a fan of his art, and you were already, and you said, I bought the miniseries, and I just want to see it larger because there's so many characters. And I'm saying, all right, I'm okay with the miniseries, but I love the art. I'd love to see it larger. There's so many people sitting around there, and now they're going to be like, hey, put it out there so we can make it this collector's item number 2. The printing will be
Yeah.
such that it'll cost X amount of dollars to get.
All right, let's. Yeah, I know we're supposed to do another show on that. So
Right.
you
On the table that.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of stuff to say. I got a bunch of stuff to say regarding that. I got the same book, but that's another show.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to point out here, if you take a look we have a Devil's Reign with Sway. This is the Black History Month variant. It only went for $5.
Sway from what's the name? Sway's Universe from MTV.
No, Swaby. He's an artist.
It's SWAY. Sway.
Are you sure it's not SWADY? Because I've seen it spelled that way.
I'm just seeing this is what they put on the thing. It says Sway. So the Sway.
All right, let's go.
How Sway? What is your clothing company, Sway?
Okay.
So Sway is $5 for the black for the Luke Cage variant, but they also have the Iron Man variant, which has I guess Riri on it.
There's only one Riri.
That's going for.
And it's not her.
That's 25.
Well, I'm not sure what the point is you're making.
No, I'm just saying. I'm wondering why this one also Iron Man number 17 is has done well.
Wait a second. This ain't a Black History Month because it's a black artist drawing.
I have no idea. I'm saying you're saying before the reason the other one was because it was a red. Well, it was. We have a Miles Morales version, right?
Well, that could be. Hold on. What's the issue?
It's issue number 17 of Iron Man.
Iron Man 17. What? There's no indica there? It's not saying if it's a first appearance?
It says Black History Month variant cover them out. Well, sorry. Sway, let me go back to that one. It says you don't get much. Brand new, a new unread, unused book in perfect condition with no missing damage. ANZ Comics is the one selling it.
That just sounds like a higher price variant.
108 sold.
So he bought 3 million.
Wait a minute.
Just selling them.
Hold on. Wait a minute. So in the cover just has Riri Williams on it. It's just a spotlight with her.
Yeah, and it looks like the cover.
Oh well, that's why it's selling. It's selling. It's just selling because it's got Riri Williams on the cover.
But I got that. But I'm saying, then why isn't the Luke Cage one selling?
Because Luke Cage has already been in a TV series.
Interesting.
Riri Williams is coming down the pike, and she's gonna. Well, I don't know what kind of splash she's gonna make when she gets to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that's just gonna happen. As soon as I don't know if they've even. Did they already announce who the actress is? Because if they made an announcement who the actress is, and we see, I mean, it's like when they showed America Chavez, and they didn't even show her. They just show the back of her jacket. And that was enough to drop. They dropped the first appearance, the second appearance, the third appearance. Just some crazy numbers at the end.
I do not like to hear that stuff.
Well,
the character that nobody cares about, that they just say that they never bought the book, and the next thing you know, they run out and say, "Oh, it's going to be a movie character." Who's the Marvel?
They're all looking at this.
Who are these two?
The actress.
Everybody's picking this up.
The actress is called Dominique Thorne.
And who's her friend? I guess the hot ones travel in packs.
I have no idea who she is.
They always do.
I have no idea.
Sophia Wiley? Oh, I know her. Dominique Thorne is Riri Williams. She's gonna be in Black Panther.
Oh God, no! How many people are gonna be in this movie? She's not. How can she be in the world of Wakanda when is Dominique Thorne from Wakanda? Is her character from Wakanda? Riri Williams from Wakanda?
No. She's no way. She's American and she was working with Tony Stark, and then Tony Stark died and she filled in, a la Rhodey, except Rhodey's was better. So that's pretty much what. Well, hold on, because we definitely went on a tangent here. But the whole idea, if you're out there, you're a seller, okay, you got to recognize these guys and don't waste the time. Okay? They want to come over here and do some negotiation. Your job is not to negotiate. Your job is to sell these books. So recognize people who are wasting your time, are just trying to, play these psychological games with you so they can get the book at the price that they want. and then they get it for 15, and as soon as they get it, they're going to put it up there for 100, and more than likely they're going to get it. So don't waste your time with them. Just block and move on.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Yo, Petey, you want to add anything to that?
I get the aspect of everyone's got a day job so they can sit on stuff in their warehouse. But at the same time, there's got to be stuff. You got to be consistent. You know, if you're keeping it at a price, and then at the same time, if you have it and the numbers go up, all for you, raising the price. Get down after. You already have it. But at the same time, when you have stuff that you can sell and you're doing stuff that new books, like that's the horror. The comic book people that, you know, that the good ones, they got the Wolverine and Punisher War Journal with Wolverine. They put it on the shelves to buy. The ones that on the other side put it on the wall for $13. And that's the thing where it's like, first you get your money to pay the rent. The next thing you get the suckers to immediately go, because at the same time you can still, if you interested in buying it, there's always a newsstand you could buy at the time. So it's like now they're just like, hey, these variants, we got the regular cover and we got all these other things that we can put up. And so that's the hard part for me, is these variants kind of really throw things out of the woods for the regular purchase, right? And there's so many different covers. I bought the same book at least 2 times when I go to the store, and I'm like, oh no, it's the same thing. It's the same book. I don't want any variants. I don't want to go in to buy no variants. But ultimately, I can't fault anyone who already has it in there. But I don't think that there's a lot of actual saying, I want to hit my money now with some of the books I have. They're kind of like, it'll all be, at some point this will be worth something. This Heathcliff will be worth something someday. Even the ones that aren't specialty covered, whatever it is. it'll at some point I'll make my money off my Star line and my Archie comics and this, that, and the other. I'll find a way.
That day came about 3 years ago.
They're just waiting for everything that comes out, even a bad movie.
I'll tell you right now, I collect Heathcliff. Okay, I love the cartoons. So when I saw the comic books ticking up, and there was no reason for it, I was like, well, Heathcliff's not gonna. There's not gonna be a Heathcliff movie or anything of that nature. But a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, I mean, this is really another show altogether. But a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, was just overlooked. It was just overlooked. It was there. Do you remember? They had the Treasury editions of Superman versus Spider-Man, Batman versus the Hulk, Superman and Spider-Man, and then they made these smaller comic book size versions with like this gold frame around it. The gold frame books, those were second printings. Second printings are always trash, and nobody cared about them. They were just overlooked. I don't know what became of the books. There were definitely copies, without a doubt. At some point, someone realized, hey, this book right over here, or somebody picked it up and said, look, I don't, find this book too often. I'm going to put this at a price for something that, is a little bit rarer than, the average book. And it starts selling there. You also find out that these books, for whatever reason, they were bigger and thicker. And because of the paper, it was harder to keep them in good condition. So a good condition book, which is what drives comic sales very much, was also very hard. And I scratched my head because I'm like, these books were out there for the longest time. These are the books that were up on the wall, pinned there, to the point where if you took it down off the wall now, you would see the impression from the dust because it had been up there so long, and no one cared. No one cared until somebody put a price on it and it started selling. And then people were like, you can get how much money for it? The same guys who bought it are the same guys who then go running to eBay, throwing it up there for $20, raising the price to $30, and before you know it, it's a $50 book. And I'm like, but it was a totally overlooked thing. And that for me is one of the biggest conundrums when it comes to comic collecting. It's like, it's almost biblical. The stone that the builder refuses will be the head cornerstone. The comic book that everybody ignores, somehow that becomes the runaway comic, but it was always there. There's really no reason for it.
I hear you. I'm not going to go on too long. I'm just going to say, with that said, yeah, that with that said, you still have the aspect of something like uh Avengers 232, right? The first appearance of Star Lord, right? Star Fox, that character. Remember the Star Fox character?
Yeah,
One
the
of the
rapist.
fans, yeah, the ones the fans kept calling that. Now you put him in the movie, shoots up to the right. There's one up here for like almost $700.
What?
Yeah, there's one that's a CGC
Oh, CGC.
9.8. It's Avengers 232.
232.
All I
Yeah, look at that. There's one there that someone has. Everyone else is like 50, $40. Just 'cause obviously trying to ride the wave. But if you keep going down, keep going down, keep going down. There you go. Bang! Key issue. First appearance of Arrows and Star Fox. MCU hot key.
see. I had a run. I have that book, and
With
I had
Harry
it in a
Styles.
run and I had it in a run of Avengers books. I had it in a run of Avengers books. This is I got them right next to me. What was the earliest issue? The earliest issue was like Avengers 134, and it went up to like Avengers 300.
Mhm.
And I was just trying to get rid of them. I was just trying to get rid of them. You know, they were taking up space. I just wanted to free out the box. I said, look, you know, so I'm going to ask $200 or best offer and see if I could get anything. I couldn't move them. Okay, they went up for auction. They went up for auction 5 times. Nobody wanted them. Nobody cared. I never got an offer. That was the end of it. So I just put them to the side and said, I'll get around to them later. I wasn't even trying to like make more money on them. I just said, I tried that. I'm going to work on some other stuff and I'll get around to those later. Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe like a year later, I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, this is such an eyesore. I want to get rid of these books. I go over now and I start looking for them. All the prices have increased. And I'm like, I don't understand. What happened? Why did the prices increase on these books that nobody wanted? Nobody wanted. Now, when I put them up, you know what I get? I get the offers for I get the offers for them. What I was trying to sell them a year ago. Well, would you do 200? Would you do 225? How about 250? It's selling
Yeah.
for $500-600 now. And the thing is, like when I was putting them up there, what I thought was a reasonable price, I couldn't get somebody to spit at them. Okay, now totally different thing. So that is I definitely get I definitely get what you're saying. And some of these prices, I understand why the prices go up because everybody's like, look, nobody wants to miss out. Nobody wants this character to be the next hot thing, and you had a copy. Nobody knows if Star Fox is going to be the next hot thing or not, but everybody wants their money. So they're like, hey, I remember how I had a copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 and it didn't, I sold it. I sold it for $20. And now look at Miles Morales. Look at where that book is now. I'm not going cheap on any more first appearances. If they're going to be in a movie, you're paying top dollar, buddy. I'm getting back that Miles Morales money that I lost out. No more cheap books out of me. But I can't fault them. I can't fault them because that's pretty much how comics work. It's the first appearance. First appearance of Superman, that's the big book. First appearance of Spider-Man, that's the big book. So, that does govern a lot of what they're doing at the end of the day. I look at some of the prices and I'm kind of like, really? For Star Fox, $700? Star Fox?
Like, okay. Has to do everything with the guy from Harry Styles. So that's it.
He was already Harry Styles already. He made his appearance. I could see that book going for a couple hundred, maybe 250 at the end of the day. But even within the Marvel universe, Star Fox isn't this really crucial character. I mean, you got, but again, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes you got characters where the fans just love this character. They just love this character. Has the character really done anything? No, done not a damn thing. Perfect examples like Moon Knight. Moon Knight is probably one of the most unstable characters I have ever seen. Not in terms of the character, but the approach. And one thing, he's an ex-mercenary, become a billionaire, crime fighter. He's a monster hunter. Now he's suffering from PSTD. He's suffering from multiple personality disorders. He's got this God thing going on. He's the fist of Khonshu. That character is all over the place. Never had a really good series, with the exception of the first one. I thought there were some good stories, but he's great to draw. He can do some kick-ass covers, and guys like him. Even if the stories suck half the time, guys really like him, and artists love rendering this guy. It's so hard to make a bad Moon Knight cover. You have to really work at it to make a bad Moon Knight cover. I mean, even that latest one that just came out, the Raza cover. Oh man, you just look at how easy he makes it look. It's just like it's just a really great character to illustrate. Even if the stories, even if the stories with the exception of the initial stuff are just crap. But there you go. Everybody's like, hey, he's got a show coming out. He's got a show coming out. First appearance. Oh, that thing could, nobody's like, nope, hell no. I'm not selling it for cheap. I'm, gonna push this money. I'm gonna push this price because I've only got one copy and I'm gonna get my money. If this guy turns into the next Miles Morales, I'm gonna make certain that I get my money. So I know a lot of it does stem from that.
So guys, we got to wrap it up. So I mean, I think we've covered quite a bit here about Comic Book Hero. What to look out for. The key thing is you got to know your market, know what you're doing, know what what's going on. Because if not, you can be definitely taken for a ride. And in addition, anybody who's trying to get into the game and they are being harassed, I guess that's the closest thing it is. You can't, if someone's not really interested in buying, they're more interested in harassing you. I suggest you don't get involved with them, okay? Because it's your reputation and your business on the line here. So anything else, guys?
No, I guess that's it.
Okay, good. So, hey, if you like what you heard, subscribe, give us a thumb up, comments. Okay, any hateful comments will be blocked. Spinnerack.
Out.
Out.